Okay, darling people, I don't know what to do this morning. I always do the blessing the speech, Maybe have some requests. Any requests for a meditation for our remaining 25 minutes? Any requests? No? Anybody? Carol, something? You want something, Carol? No? Anybody? Mary? Katie, what do you think?
Tara.
Who?
Tara.
Surely you do her many times already, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, we can try Tara. Uh, maybe, yeah, okay, we can try Tara.
Or Manjushri.
Manjushri, we can do wisdom. We all need wisdom. They're all, in the end, they're all the same. The variations, the way I do them, are very simple, you know. Okay. Maybe just never mind for the minute. We'll just sit and we might just do a bit of Mahamudra first. Okay. So what that means is, Lama Yeshe teaches it so simply, so beautifully in his book. But it's deceptively simple. So this is the meditation. Just contemplate these thoughts, okay? Contemplate these thoughts. So we'll think about the clarity of our mind. I'll try to say it slowly, and we'll kind of chew over the thoughts. And so this is an analytical meditation. We're using our thinking to trigger something in the mind, okay? Okay, so I think that we know, we make the body the boss, as Lama Yeshe says. We make the body the boss. Why? Because it's evident. We feel it, see it. We see the physical, hear the physical. We're totally caught up in our senses. This is the gross level we exist. This is what we mean by the world, is the outside world, including our body. But the Buddha is saying we have a mind, cognition, its capacity, its job is to know, to cognize, to be aware. They're all the same meaning. So we have to ask the question then, Buddha, what to know what? What is it we have to know? What do we have to do with this mind? Well, he says we need to learn to cognize, to know, to be aware of, to cognize that which exists. So then we should ask why. And he says, because at the moment, our minds are cognizing things that don't exist, things our mind has made up. And this is why we're suffering. This is why we suffer. This is why the subtle level in the mind itself, we have distress and worries and fears, and why in the long term, actions done on the basis of this, which harm others, will then ripen as even suffering coming from the outside. So the Buddha's view about the mind is a continuity coming from before. It's programmed with whatever we've thought and said and done before. Every second is programming itself with what we think and do and say. And those things that we think that are delusional, and then upon which we act, they ripen as the future suffering, and they ripen as this tendency to keep thinking those things. So this is the essence of karma, the mind, not physical, continuity of consciousness, and, reincarnation. All of that is contained in those thoughts. This is Buddha's observation. So he has found from his own experience that we can change the mind, that it's infinitely flexible, infinitely. And by using these brilliant techniques, these genius Indians at the time of the Buddha and before him invented these brilliant techniques that enable us to harness the energy of this mind, to control it, discipline it, and develop this ability to access subtler levels of the mind, where we can do the work of unpacking and unraveling these misconceptions, the delusions, the things we've made, the belief system we've created called ego grasping, that believes in an intrinsic me, then attachment to get what that me wants, and then aversion and panic when it doesn't get what it wants. All of these dramas, these delusions, these afflictions, these misconceptions that we have made up over eons of time. And because they're so habitual, that we believe totally, 1,000,000,000% are the truth. But we can remove these lies from our mind, Buddha says. So it's hard to see this. It's hard to even hear it intellectually. This is why it's so nice to think about different ways to think about the mind, like Lama talks in Mahamudra. So he says, mind is like a mirror. So we know mirrors reflect, don't they? It's very simple. Mirrors reflect things. In the simplest sense, whatever's there is reflected in the mirror. Well, this is the one that blows our minds, but it's hard to hear it. But this is how our mind functions, Lama says. That our mind, that what we see out there, as Lama Zopa puts it, what appears to us from out there, what appears to us in the mirror of our mind, how it appears, what appears in the mirror of our mind. In other words, what we think is happening, what our mind is thinking. So what appears in the mirror of our mind, as Lama Zopa puts it, the world out there appears back to us, appears to us in this mirror, all according to what's going on in the mirror. So we think that is ugly. A certain person, let's say, he is ugly, we'll say. And we see ugly. Ugly is what we see. But we think ugly is in the person. We think we're seeing truth, objective truth. And where this innocent mirror, a nice clear mirror, clearly reflecting, observing this ugly person. That's how we think the world is. Ugly, beautiful, good, bad, this, that. And we've been seeing it this way for so long, we believe it's true. But what Buddha's saying is that our mirror is polluted, is like dirty with anger, it's dusty with anger. The mirror is dusty. So we know if the mirror is cracked, if the mirror is dirty, it's obvious that whatever is reflected in it is reflected wrongly. We know that because we know the mirror is dirty, but we don't know our mirror is dirty. We think our mirror is perfect. We think our mirror is perfect. We think our mirror is crystal clear and is reflecting absolute truth. Everything we see, hear, taste, touch, smell, we interpret it, and we think it is the truth, absolute, clear truth. As Lama Zopa says, bad enough that the world appears to us like that. Bad enough that it appears to us like that. But the worst thing is we believe it's true. Not even believe, we don't even think we don't even think that what our mind is thinking is an interpretation. It's absurd. We don't think that's an interpretation. We're not saying, well, my observation, my interpretation could be wrong. My interpretation is that he's ugly. No, we don't say that. We say he is ugly. So bad enough that he appears to us, like Lama Zopa says, appears back to us in the mirror of our mind in a distorted way. Bad enough that. But the worst thing is what keeps us paralyzed in samsara is that we believe it's true. So even hearing this is puzzling to us. We don't, what do you mean making things up? What do you mean misinterpretation? What do you mean I'm not accurate? We don't even know what it means because we're so fixed in our own mind. We're so programmed with our own views, our own conceptions, our own, in this case, misconceptions. It's hard to hear it. So in other words, what we have to try and do is to distinguish between what is true and what is not, what is real and what is false, what exists and what doesn't. This is the job of being a Buddhist. This is wisdom. This is how you get wisdom, and this is how you stop suffering. So, of course, we have to know the mind. First, you have to learn it intellectually. This is not Jung's view. This is not Freud's view. This is not any other of the other millions of views about the mind that exist in the current world, like such as neuroscience and so on, but this is very precisely Buddha's view. So you can't just look into your mind and start searching for misconceptions because we have no basis for knowing even what a misconception is. That's why we have to study Buddha's view of the mind. It's a very precise, incredibly detailed, incredibly sophisticated presentation of the mind. One is the epistemological model, how the mind functions, which itself is totally fascinating. And then second, the psychological model, the contents of our mind, the names of the different thoughts, the division between deluded and negative and neurotic and non-virtuous, and the other one called virtuous and positive. Even this is the key job of being a Buddhist, distinguishing between the neuroses and the virtues, distinguishing between the valid conceptions and the misconceptions, distinguishing between what is true and what is not. This is our job of being a Buddhist. If we call ourselves being a Buddhist, we don't have to be, but if we say we're Buddhist, then this is our job. Not just prostrating, not just looking holy, not just saying mantras, not just being a nun or a monk, not just living in vows, not just taking refuge, not just making water bowls. They are not the determining factor of your being a Buddhist. The factor that determines you as a Buddhist is buying into, accepting, taking on board, using this job, using this analysis of the mind and doing the job. That's when you become a Buddhist. So all the other things, living in vows, mantras, prostrating, devotion, all of these are techniques that enable us to do the job of working on our mind. We get so caught up in all those. I'm a Buddhist. I prostrate. I've got devotion. I have a lama. I do this. I take refuge. I say mantras. No, they're not being a Buddhist. They're like it's like, you go to Federer, please show me how to play tennis. And he sees you're not ready. So he gives you all these, as we'd call your nundro, your preliminary practices. What he wants you to do is go off and do jogging for 2 years and lose weight and get fit and get muscle tone and learn about tennis and what it is theoretically. So then you're ready to learn how to play tennis. So being a Buddhist is doing Mahamudra actually, but it's so sophisticated. It's an advanced practice. So all the other preliminaries, like taking refuge and doing your prostrations and living in vows and doing your mantras and having devotion, they're the preliminary practices. They're not the actual job of being a Buddhist. They're the practices that soften your mind, that help you smash, help you loosen the grip of all the delusions. It kind of does, it sort of like loosens the misconceptions, sort of digs down and deep into the mind and makes a bit of space. So now you're able to see your mind, make changes in your mind, stop believing in the delusions, start practicing the virtues. So our mind is like a mirror. It's the second. Just try and now just settle in. Don't have any thoughts. I mean, you have your thoughts, but don't pay attention. So have part of your mind attention. Just practice now for a few minutes. Just pay attention. No analysis, just bare bones. Pay attention to whatever pops up in the mind. Don't analyze it. Don't label it. Don't try to stop it. Don't have a discussion with it. Just simply pay attention. Pay attention to your thoughts. Let them come and go. Just watch, relax, stay focused. Don't space out. Keep the attention relaxed, but sharp and clear. So practicing like this, just simply watching the mind. This is the first part of Mahamudra. It's not the second part. It's the first part. It's just training, you know. Don't expect any special result. We get very caught up and kind of wait for some feeling to happen. Don't do that. It's training. You're training yourself. So what are you training to do? The key thing, whether you're watching your breath or watching your mind or whatever, you're training yourself, in a sense, to step back, to have some objectivity, not to be absorbed in every thought that arises, which is how we normally are. Normally in daily life, we're so absorbed, unconsciously though, unaware, we're not aware, we're not conscious. We're just absorbed tightly in all the chaos in our minds. So we're not really aware of what's there. We're just absorbed in it, swimming in it, tasting it, swimming in it. There's no objectivity. So then it vomits out the mouth, or we get depressed and we don't know why, because we're not paying attention. So here we're trying to step back and allow, not suffocate the thoughts, not wish they weren't there, not push them away. Allow them to do what they want. We're training the mind to be disciplined. So then the real benefit from this, sitting for 5 minutes on your cushion, is that when you wake up, when you come off your cushion, go downstairs to the kitchen, then you start to apply this technique. So there you are doing the dishes. Normally you'd just be absorbed in your misery, absorbed in the anxiety, not aware. But now you've got more awareness because you've been stepping back. So now you apply that and you notice your hubby slurping the coffee. The tiniest event. And whereas once you would have just blurted out, something annoying to him, I don't like that. Can you please shut up or something? But now, because you've been training your mind to step back, training your mind not to be caught up in the thoughts, you now notice the aversion in the mind. And then you have the discipline of telling yourself to keep your mouth shut, Robina, let it be. And you reanalyze it. You see, it's just the mirror of my mind. My mind is, because there's anger there, the action of slurping coffee appears to me as ugly, but you question it. It's just my interpretation, Robina. It's just my dirty mirror. Mind my own business. That's practice every day. That's brilliant practice. Day to day. So on your cushion is like training. Then the actual job of applying it is in day-to-day life, when you open your eyes and deal with the human beings, deal with the world, hear the things, see the things, listen to the news, a million activities in the day. You learn to notice your thoughts, you notice your interpretations. And as Lama Zopa says, you learn not to believe in your karmic appearances. So due to past karma, that person appears ugly to you. Past karma and your anger, that a person that slurping coffee appears ugly. But you don't buy into your karmic appearances. Whatever we see out there is our own karmic appearance. So you start to question it. This is practice, and you're putting atomic bombs under the delusions, under the ego grasping. Such a powerful practice every day. So may we do that today as much as we can. Stop believing in our karmic appearances. Look into our mind. Observe the delusion that's there. Distinguish between what is virtue, what is non-virtue, what is accurate, what is not accurate. One step at a time. Jangchuk Semchog Rinpoche, Make Panam Keguchig, Kepa Nyampa, Mepa Yang, Gongne, Gondru Pawashog. So I cheated you of 5 minutes today. I'm so sorry. All right, everybody. Thank you, precious ones. See you all again. Thank you, Mary, for organizing. Thank you, everybody.